Hey everyone, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Okay, I see quite a few people have joined me already. Hi, how are all of you doing today? I hope everyone's doing great. So, thank you everyone for joining me for today's webinar. Good morning, good morning. Hi. So, thank you guys for joining me for today's webinar. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Niyati, and I am a product expert with Manage Engines IT Security Solutions. So, today's webinar is all about threat intelligence and how you can incorporate it into your network security. So if you're facing any audio or video issues during this webinar, please let us know using the live chat option and we can look into that for you. And also the recording will be available within a couple of days as well, and we will be emailing it across to all of you. All right then, so this is the agenda for today. We'll be starting with the basics. We'll be starting by talking about what threat intelligence is and why it matters so much. So why we're starting with the basics is because even till today, so I've been to a few security events, and very often when I'm talking to people about various security trends, I'm talking to them about threat intelligence, I see that there is still a fair amount of confusion about what it exactly is and the various things that it involves. Okay, so in fact, let's just have a show of hands here. So all of you have a raise hand feature with you in the webinar console. If you feel that you know perfectly well what threat intelligence is, you can use the raise hand feature and let me know, and I'll not concentrate that much on the definition part of things. So let me see. Okay. Okay, so I see only two or three hands have gone up, and that's great, guys. That's great. But for the benefit of our larger audience, I will quickly go through the definition as well. Okay, yeah, so I will talk to you about what threat intelligence is. I'll just give you a quick overview and we'll talk about why it is so important today. And then what we'll do is we will talk about how this single field of threat intelligence helps you defeat a wide range of threats. So we'll have a quick look at the various kinds of threats that you can defeat using threat intelligence. And then we will also discuss some related concepts like threat feeds and the stick syntaxy protocols, because many people also tend to confuse these things and sort of use them interchangeably in conversation. So we'll delineate these concepts and we'll also quickly go through what each of them are and what their place is in the overall threat intelligence and security picture. Okay. And then finally, I'll also give you a quick look at how SIM solutions help you actually implement a proper threat intelligence framework within your organization, the various kinds of features that they offer you to do this. And I'll also give you a quick look at the end of this webinar at our solution and the kinds of features that it offers you for threat intelligence. Okay, so here's the def. Okay, so if you go over to another tab on your browser right now and search for the definition of threat intelligence, you're going to find a wide number of definitions. Okay, but this definition here given by Gartner is my personal favorite. It is pretty long and wordy. You can see that it has a lot of confusing big words strung together, but honestly I feel it's very comprehensive, and if you actually just break it down, it's really a great definition. So I'll just break it down for you and tell you what it really means. So okay, threat intelligence is essentially nothing but pre-existing knowledge about the threats out there, which help organizations detect, identify, detect and respond to threats when they hit their own network. Okay, that's essentially what it is. But let's look at the finer aspects of it through this definition here. So threat intelligence is basically evidence based knowledge, right? So what that means is that threat intelligence follows a known bad approach. That's a very classic but highly efficient approach to network security. This means that threat detection basically occurs based on the knowledge that a similar threat has happened somewhere else in the world. So it's very simple but very efficient. And the next part of this definition states that threat intelligence consists of context, mechanisms, indicators, implications, and actionable advice. So that basically tells you that threat intelligence is very wide ranging in the types of information that it covers. There's actually a very common misconception that I've seen that threat intelligence is just a list of bad IPs, but it's way more than that. So it gives you hard facts like the specific mechanisms and indicators, and also gives you very general information like advice on how to deal with the threat. And next, so threat intelligence gives you information about existing or emerging threats. So that means it's quite fluid. It's always constantly changing. So at any given time, it specifies information about both established and existing threats, as well as news about slowly emerging threats out there. And finally, it's used to inform decisions. So this is basically the actual heart of threat intelligence. It is the ultimate aim of why everyone is interested in it in the first place. So it is to use this knowledge to better detect and respond to security incidents in your organization. So that is basically the definition. So why exactly does it matter? Okay, so the question of why threat intelligence is so important is honestly quite simple. The types of attacks we see today are only growing in number, it's growing in size, it's growing in scale. So this means that there are millions of bad actors out there across the world in various corners of the globe engaged in wide ranging malicious activities. So just out of sheer numbers, it is highly probable that someone somewhere from some corner of the globe is likely to try attacking your organization. And also, there are several factors today, like the rising costs of data breaches. I mean, every day we see data breaches are growing in scale, and the cost to an organization is also increasing. And because of this, there is increasing scrutiny under various compliance mandates and whatnot. So it's really imperative that organizations deal with these security incidents in a very timely manner. So you can see here I've displayed some statistics from 2018's Cyber Threat Intelligence Survey, which was done by the SANS Institute. So you can see that 81% of cybersecurity professionals said that they believed adopting threat intelligence helped them improve their overall security posture. And this number was up by 64% in 2016. So you can see how more and more people are realizing the importance of threat intelligence every day. And the most popular uses for threat intelligence would be detecting threats, not just detecting threats, but also responding to them, blocking them, and hunting for threats within their organizations. So these uses pretty much cover the entire cycle of security incident handling, right? So this is why threat intelligence is so essential in detecting, investigating, and responding to threats in a highly efficient manner. So if you incorporate it within your organization, you reduce the time taken to deal with incidents. I mean, you're also improving the accuracy of detecting them in the first place, and then you're also reducing the time to deal with them also on this subsequently. So if you take that effort to build a good, solid threat intelligence framework, you can reduce your overall security costs and safeguard your business sensitive data from malicious actors. So this is a quick look on the various types of threats that it gives you information about. Okay, so For starters, you have information about various types of malware. And when we talk about malware, the first type of most important or most popular type of malware that comes to mind would obviously be ransomware, right? So ransomware is right up there among the most common attacks facing networks around the world. Every day you have like a new strain or variant of ransomware coming out, infecting different systems and whatnot. So if you have access to the latest threat intelligence, you can be secure in the knowledge that you're always prepared to face the latest types of ransomware, the latest, you know about the latest attack vectors in use, so you're in a good position to defend yourself against them. Next, you also get information about command and control servers, as well as all the systems around the world that are part of botnets. So there are typically going to be at least thousands of systems around the world which are affected in this way, infected and parts of a large botnet. So you would definitely want to avoid communications to or from such machines. The next couple of threats would be phishing and spam actors. So these are pretty common attacks as well, but you also need to be very cautious against them, because as these types of attacks, as phishing and spam attacks get more and more sophisticated each day, a number of employees are falling prey to these attacks. So because these attacks become more personalized, say, even a highly discerning employee is likely to fall for such an attack. So it's obviously useful to know who is involved in such attacks in the first place, so that you can take steps to avoid communications with them altogether. So similarly, you also get information about the various zero-day threats, vulnerability exploits, advanced persistent threats, and so on. So the main point I'd like to highlight by talking about all these threats is just this: it is almost impossible to create and manage a global threat intelligence database internally within your organization for these three simple reasons. It is simply not easy to access or source the kind of information you need independently on your own. So it would take dedicated research teams working throughout the day to collect a mass of attack information and extract actual valuable threat intelligence from it. So even if you are able to do this, let's say you do have the human resources available to do this information is really vast. So you would require an enormous amount of resources to store and manage it. So many organizations, especially those on the smaller side, simply can't do this. They can't afford the resources or the time to do this within their own organization. And also, this information, like I told you, is always changing. So any lag in updating the knowledge base would only leave your network susceptible for that much longer. So the key questions for us at this point then are these: how is good, reliable threat intelligence accessed if we can't build such knowledge bases internally? And okay, how can we utilize it in a manner relevant to the events happening within our own organization's boundary, right? So this is where threat feeds enter the picture, as they are the best and most popular method today of sharing threat intelligence. And to utilize this information for our networks, you must invest in a good threat intelligence solution which retrieves reliable threat intelligence, correlates it with your network events, and then delivers relevant alerts to your security teams, relevant actionable insights, and aids their investigation and response efforts. So you can see the whole cycle is emerging over here. And as I've just told you, the most common way of sharing threat intelligence is through threat feeds. But quickly, I'll just talk about another common method. That would be high level reports that are published by several institutes out there. But these are more for use on a very higher strategic level to make decisions for your network security. So the most common method of on a day-to-day basis would be threat feeds. So they are basically ongoing streams of data which are accessible throughout the day, every day, which provide the latest threat intelligence to you. Okay, so these threat feeds are published by third party vendors, and the information that they provide you is collected through a combination of both automated and manual mechanisms. And then they are validated by dedicated research teams who add this quality, reliable information to the feeds that they publish. So obviously, because you see that there is this human element involved, you would have to. So let's say you're choosing a thread feed to subscribe to, you will also have to look into the vendor reliability when you are selecting a thread feed. But then there are also other ways in which thread feeds vary. Okay, so thread feed may vary in the types of threads that they cover. So some thread feeds may be general and cover the various kinds of threads that we just looked at in the other slide, or some may be very focused on specific types of threads, or they may be oriented towards a specific industry. They may vary in the amount of information that they give you about each thread, and they vary in all these ways. And of course, some are open source and available freely to all, and some which are probably highly specialized will be paid subscriptions. So you'll have to look into all these factors when selecting a good quality threat intelligence feed for your organization. And now that we know that there are various types of threat feeds, the next question for some people would be, what format are these threat feeds in? I mean, it's pretty safe to assume that with multiple vendors and multiple types of feeds, there's obviously going to be multiple formats, right? But here's the thing, at its heart, threat intelligence is basically, like a global collaborative effort to sort of build the standard threat intelligence knowledge base to make threat detection and resolution quicker, more efficient for organizations across the globe. But with varying threat feed formats, what happens is it becomes difficult to sort of consolidate the threat intelligence from various sources. And then, even if you do, you'll have to share this threat intelligence across various organizations or between several security solutions, between various products that you are using within an organization. So, the multiple format problem actually defeats this purpose of threat intelligence because it ends up slowing you down. So that's where Sticks and Taxi came in. They emerged from this gap, from this problem. They're basically nothing but standardized formats which help you express threat information in a common way and share it using a set of common communication protocols. And because of the emergence of these protocols, threat intelligence has become so much more unified, and organizations are able to very easily identify and deal with threats. So these protocols are very commonly used by all the most prominent threat feeds that we see today. So now that we have spoken about threat intelligence and what threat feeds are, it's time to start thinking from a more practical implementation perspective. So, like I said, you need to select a good solution that leverages the latest threat intelligence and helps you detect, analyze, and respond to threats, basically, take you across the whole cycle. That's why we need to be aware of how to select a good threat intelligence solution. There are various types of threat intelligence solutions in the market. Okay, so some are very exclusive solutions which deal purely with threat intelligence, but there are also other types of more comprehensive solutions like SIM solutions, which is what we'll be talking about later today, which offer a whole variety of capabilities, including threat intelligence as well. So that would be the first choice you have to make, what kind of solution you want. And then proceeding further, there are also several other factors which you can see here on the screen. So starting with the most normal, usual factors, obviously, practically you'll have to think about the cost, the architecture of the solution, what makes sense for you and for your organization, how easy it is to deploy and things like that. And then you'll have to look into the range and variety of the threat intelligence sources, because obviously the solution is only going to be as good as the quality of threat intelligence that it accesses, right? So you have to take note of what threat intelligence it uses, and you should also check if it is important to you. If you do subscribe to threat feeds separately on your own, then it would be useful if your solution allows you to add these custom feeds as well. Like I said, and then you'll also have to look at the various collaborations, integrations with other types of security solutions, like maybe help desks or other kinds of solutions, so that this information can be seamlessly shared across various products. And of course, going beyond alerts. So threat intelligence, obviously a big part is giving you an alert when something suspicious happens, but it should also take you beyond that and help you investigate and respond to these threats. So these are some of the features that SIM solutions offer you. They basically allow you to conduct detailed, in-depth investigations when a threat is detected. And then they also allow you to validate threats using event correlation. So I will talk about each of these in detail. Then they also allow you to ensure accountability by seeing every incident through and ensuring that they're all resolved. And then they also allow you to deploy and manage like proper incident response measures and ensure that all incidents and threats are dealt with effectively. So I'll talk about investigation and response together. Obviously, full blown response measures can only be started once you finish an investigation and confirm that an attack is in progress. But there are always safety measures that you can take in immediately the instant a threat is detected, to ensure that your network stays protected even during the investigation phase. So you can do things like blocking potential malicious IPs from your network, or if you think that a system in your network is potentially affected, you could also automatically shut it down. You can do a lot of things to ensure that your network is protected even during the investigation phase. And then of course, so the investigation would involve things like searching through historical logs, reviewing the various systems or users who are possibly affected, and creating a list of all the systems that are affected, so that you know that you have to safeguard each of these from future threats. So I spoke about this a couple slides ago. So another useful feature of SIM solutions is their ability to detect suspicious activity patterns by correlating network events from various devices. So sometimes you may want to ensure that a malicious actor is actually engaged in some suspicious activity before you launch response measures, right? So event correlation is really useful here, because it can help you detect possible attack patterns which are carried out by known malicious actors. So what that means is, you only get an alert when there is a malicious entity within your network, and that malicious entity has also engaged in a known pattern of suspicious activity. So when this happens, it helps you prioritize your security incidents as well, and figure out which incidents you need to pay attention to first. So once your solution detects a threat, you need to employ several measures to deal with them. So I'll be listing the various things you should be doing to ensure that threats are dealt with efficiently. To start off, you need a proper documented approach to dealing with threats. You need a neat, clean way of resolving them, right? And ensuring accountability in the resolution process as well. So what can you do to achieve this, right? You will need to first assign incident responsibility to you need to assign clear responsibility to a designated user. And so this helps you track that a specific incident is being investigated by a specific user. So that helps you ensure accountability. You'll have to, obviously, as an admin, you'll also have to track the progress or status of that incident throughout the investigation and response phase. You'll have to maintain reports of all the past incidents so that if they occur in the future, you can just easily go back and refer to them if needed. So a ticketing system is very ideal for this. And when it comes to SIM solutions, they either provide these features built in or through integrations with third party tools. So I'll give you a quick look at Log 360, which is our SIM solution, and how it provides you with various threat intelligence features. So this just gives you a quick overview of how the solution processes the latest threat intelligence and gives you an alert whenever a malicious entity is detected in your network. So with Log 360, you have automatic access to the latest threat information. So what this means is Log 360 already collects information from various trusted open source feeds. So there's no configuration required here. All you, as soon as you deploy the product, and add in several log sources which you need to, several devices and log sources which you're monitoring, you don't have to do anything to configure the actual threat intelligence part of it. It's already up and running and checking all your logs for any malicious entity. So, and it also in fact allows you to add custom feeds as well. So if you are subscribed to custom feeds which are highly specific to your organization or your industry, you can just add them into the solution, and it just sort of integrates all of that within the threat intelligence framework, and you can start integrating all of them and searching your network for threats. And also it even allows you to build custom correlation rules to check for malicious activity. So like I said, you can get alerted when a malicious entity is found to be engaged in a specific pattern of malicious activity using the correlation feature. And Log 360 also allows you to ensure accountability either through its built-in ticketing features or by allowing you to forward the incident information to a whole set of external help desk software. I'll show you the list in just a minute. And you also can investigate incidents very thoroughly. There's a very powerful search engine available which allows you to search all the machine generated logs across your network in just a couple of seconds and easily identify if any systems or users have been affected. And finally, when it comes to incident response, you can always designate your own custom scripts which allow you to automatically remediate any incident. So these scripts are triggered automatically whenever a potential threat is detected, and it helps you sort of just quicken up the process by easily, automatically shutting down a system or blocking an IP address from your network, things like that. So, so this is our online demo. So this is Event Log Analyzer, which is the log management module of Log 360. And this is the module which provides you with the threat intelligence capabilities. So I'll just give you a quick look at how it works. So this is an online demo. You're all welcome to check it out yourself. So the alerts tab is where you will find all the threat alerts. You'll find them under the default threat profile. So you can see here how the threat alerts look. They easily tell you which device encountered a threat. They tell you the IP involved, and you can see the whole message neatly written over here. So, okay, so let's just take you to the whole flow of things. Okay, so you have an alert over here. you see a malicious IP has been detected. So the natural next step would be to sort of investigate your network, go through all your network logs, and find out if this IP has been detected anywhere else in your network, whether it's escaped your network defenses and sort of infected any system or the like. Okay, so what you can do in this case, so you can see I've just made a note of the IP address. I'll go over to the search module. So I want a list of all the logs where this IP address was seen. So I look for all communications with this remote host. So there's just one log. So thankfully, in this case, the my okay, so my firewall has was able to detect and block this IP. So thankfully, it has not crossed the firewall stage in this case. But this, I'm just basically showing you how you can conduct an investigation. So had this IP escaped the notice of your firewall and entered your network, you could have easily in 1 second just gotten a list of all the logs with this IP address and made a note of all activity that this IP was involved in. So it just easily allows you to identify anything amiss in your network. So you can conduct very detailed searches over here, and of course you can also save this search so that you can run it easily later, or you can even save it as an alert so that if this specific IP is noted on your network anytime in the future, you get an immediate alert for it. You can also export this investigation report in the PDF or CSV formats, so that helps you easily sort of explain the investigation process to anyone in your organization. And of course, with these reports, you're also able to prove compliance to your auditors, because any auditor would want to know if you have taken followed due process when it came to security investigations. So you can do a lot of things with these detailed investigation reports. So I also spoke about correlation, right? So I'll just give you a quick look at how that works. So when it comes to correlation, correlation basically checks for a pattern of suspicious activity on your network. So I'll just give you a quick look at how a correlation rule looks. So let's look at the suspicious software rule, all right? So what this rule does is that it checks for a remote entity which is able to hack into your organization's VPN, sort of log in remotely using a brute force attack, and then logs on to a specific device on your network and installs a malicious software. Okay, so that's the flow of events that this rule checks for. Now, I'd like to add an extra layer to this rule. I'd like to also check for this pattern of activity when it is carried out by a known malicious entity. So, what I'm going to do is add a criteria, and I want to check if the remote IP address involved is malicious. So just by adding this quick filter over here, I'll now get alerted when a malicious entity hacks into my organization's network and installs a software as well. So I only get alerted when this entire series of activities happen. So I immediately know that there is definitely something suspicious going on, and I can immediately launch a response process as well. And I'll just, so you had a look when I started demonstrating the various features to you, but let me just show you how the incident management features work as well. So like I said, Log 360 provides you with inbuilt ticketing features. So what that means is you can easily assign responsibility for any incident to a specific user. And then following that, you can also track the status the person who is investigating the incident will update the status. So on the central dashboard, you're always kept up to date about what the status of the incident is as well. And using the notes module, you can always input any relevant information which would help the future occurrences. So the future times, in the future, if this threat is detected on your network, you can easily refer to the past incidents and speeden up the resolution process. And of course, apart from the built-in ticketing features, you can also forward incident information very easily to various help desk software. You can see the list of supported help desk software over here. So if you don't want to use the inbuilt features, or you're already using as a help desk within your organization, you can also easily forward incident information so that there is a seamless flow of information across all your security solutions, which really reduces the time spent in resolving the incident and makes the whole process really efficient. So that's about it for the content of today's webinar. Before we close, of course, if you have any questions, you can let me know and using the chat option. And I'd also like to inform you all that we do have a AD and IT seminar coming up next month on May 8th and 9th, or 7th and 8th. So I'll just be giving you the details of that. So this seminar will give you a very comprehensive look at our identity and access management and SIM solutions, and give you a quick look, a very in-depth look at various security trends today, and also various security use cases, and give you a very comprehensive in-depth look at how you can secure your organization's networks. I'm just going to be sharing the registration link for you all with some more details about this event. Meanwhile, if any of you have any questions, please do ask me using the live chat option. I'm happy to answer that for you.